Hey guys, Eric here. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Before we tune in to the details today, I have one little favor I'd like to ask you. Are you listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify? If you are, and if you haven't done it already, it would be so helpful to Anita and I if you could leave a 5-star review. It could just be putting 5 stars or even writing down something that you really enjoyed and learned from the episodes that you've heard so far. This kind of help would really improve our ability to give you better content and also to help other people find out about Taiwanica. So if you wouldn't mind taking just a few moments to do that if you haven't already, we would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much, and we really hope you enjoyed today's episode.
This is episode 47, talking about shopping habits in Taiwan and the USA. Hello, everybody. My name is Anita, one of the hosts on Taiwanica. Today, before we dive in our topic, we have great news to announce to you guys. That is, right now we have more services on our Taiwanica podcast, buymeacoffee.com. Eric will tell you more details about that. Hello, Eric. Welcome to join us today.
Oh, thank you, Anita, for having me once again. I just feel so welcome here on Taiwanica Podcast. That's right, because I am the other host. Haha. Hello, everybody. It is so wonderful to be back. I'm so excited about today's topic. But like Anita said, we have some exciting news on buymeacoffee.com/Taiwanica Podcast. Advertisement alert. There are a few things, okay? Number one, just going to give an announcement to one of our biggest fans, Margie, for being the first member of Taiwanica Podcast. And not only that, she is our official first Taiwanican.
Taiwanican, I love it.
Yes, it's the title that you get when you become a member. And not only that, but you also get access to a lot of really fun and cute episodes that you can't get anywhere else. So definitely check those out if you're interested. And then the next big thing is that we're moving our services on Taiwanica Podcast, buymeacoffee.com as well. What does that mean? That means that we will not only be serving English teaching, but also our life coaching services will also be posted there. So if you're curious about any of these services with us, feel free to go over to, once again, buymeacoffee.com/Taiwanica Podcast, and you will find all of those there. So definitely check those out. And thank you again. If you become a member, you will also get a shout out. So if you want to get a nice shout out here on our podcast, go ahead and check that out. Only $5 a month.
That's right. Buymeacoffee.com.
All right. So now let's dive on into our episode.
Sure.
We're going to talk about shopping. Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so one thing that I know about Anita is that she is a huge fan of this topic. And because she's got style. If you're watching the video version of this, you can see this girl is classy. So, Anita, before we dive in too deep about this episode, I want to ask you a question. Is it more fun to shop in Taiwan, or is it more fun to shop in the USA?
I gotta say, in Taiwan. I'm sorry.
Oh, man, why?
Because in Taiwan, it's very easy to shop either online or go to the store.
Okay.
All right. USA is really big. So, like, the big brands I really like, they are not here. They're probably all in, like, California or some big cities. So, if I want to buy them, I must go online. And even though it's all in the USA, it took about, like, 2 weeks to mail to your house. And there was also a thing, there's some problem with you guys' address. It's really hard for me to get it right. You know, I cannot tell you guys how many times I either forgot to put into the apartment's number, or I type in the wrong format, and they cannot mail to your house, and I have to go pick it up at the office, or like USPS, at the post office, and such a hustle, and somebody else cannot, for example, like Eric cannot pick up my package. I have to go there and show them my ID. This is me. Please give me my package back. So it's like totally kill the fun, because when you buy something, you want that thing in your house, on your body immediately.
Anita has a lot of problems with online shopping.
Especially in the USA, it was like, oh my goodness, it's so much hassle to just get one thing that I really like to mail to my house.
Yes, we've had a lot of trauma with online shopping recently, and so I don't know if this is a venting session or an episode, but that is definitely the truth for a lot of people. Honestly, sometimes it just takes the tiniest little thing, the change of a zip code number, exactly, or forgetting the apartment number, or maybe even having your last name spelled wrong. You can have things returned back to where they came from, and then you have to do a lot of calling or a lot of driving just to get the package that was supposed to be at your front door. So yeah, that is definitely a con of doing shopping in the USA. But just to be, the supporter of the USA here as an American.
It's not a competition, all right? It's personal opinion.
All right. Just want to add...
1 point for me.
Yes. The one thing I wanted to add is that in USA, just like in Taiwan, there are very big places where you can go shopping. In Taiwan, there are department stores. In USA, we call them malls. And the only difference is that department stores are tall. Malls are really wide. And you have pretty much every single store that you could ever imagine in those places. And USA... we used to love going and hanging out in those places. That used to be like the go-to place to chit-chat, like the water hole, right? Go look at people and, make new friends and eat some really greasy food, It was the whole thing, like every generation until recently. So now most people buy online, and that's one of the things that we'll be talking about more in detail. But yes, thank you very much for sharing. For me personally, I still think the United States is great because I'm a homebody. And so if I can buy anything online, I am set to go. And, one of the biggest things that we have in the USA that Taiwan doesn't have is Amazon. And yeah, Amazon, if you have Prime, that's a membership on Amazon.
No need to show off.
If you have that, it's only a couple bucks a month. You can get 1-day delivery, and it is super great. So I love it.
Yeah, definitely. Amazon is like the only thing that I think America did a great job. Is Amazon like a Prime? What do you say? Because you're
membership.
The one. Yeah, membership. Because you're the one who's taking care of Amazon. Me personally, I don't really like Amazon. Some personal opinion, just
We don't need to get political.
I'm not.
Okay.
Just saying. And in Taiwan, we don't have Amazon, but we have a lot of traditional markets. And like department store, you already mentioned about it. That's the place most people go there for shopping, and also like night market,
yes,
traditional market, some tiny little store. They carry the products from Korea or from some other country to sell by themselves.
Yes.
So we have very variety.
Yes.
Of products in Taiwan. So you can buy cheap things, you can buy something more expensive, you can buy something very famous brand, those kind of things. So I think as a shopper, most of the time I don't like to spend a lot of money to buy something, very fancy. I like to go out and to look at different styles of stuff.
Like window shopping.
Yeah, window shopping. I don't have to buy anything. I just like to go check out those fun things. And that for me is joy, It doesn't necessarily have to possess something. You just go there and see, oh, look at this little tiny little thing. It's from Japan and it's so cute. Or...
so neat.
Look at these.
So natural.
Yeah, so
it's like your natural habitat.
Yeah, in here it's really hot. You guys also have those kind of store. I think you guys call them a thrifty store.
Thrift stores, yeah, thrift stores.
Thrift store.
Yeah.
Yeah, those things are fun. You can also find those kind of special things and in those kind of store. But
we like to call them knickknacks.
Yeah, you tell us more about that.
Yeah.
Okay. So for in Taiwan, I think it's fun. It's very easy to get. It's cheap. It's convenient. So for me, I like shopping in Taiwan.
Yeah, I remember when we lived in Taiwan, one of the biggest pastimes that Anita liked to do, just the two of us, would be to roam around the cities and go down little alleys and see what kind of shops or cafes were there.
Yeah.
And anytime that there was a new store that intrigued her, she would just jump right on in and look around for about 10-15 minutes and be like, wow, this is all great and cute. And I was like, yeah, sure.
He doesn't.
I was there for the AC, okay? That was why I was there. It's like, yes. God, Taiwan, you're hot, okay? In all the right ways. And sometimes the wrong ways, too, okay?
So, I think one thing I wanted to mention about, when we talking about shopping, most of people think about, clothes, bags, jewelry, accessories, those kind of things. But in Taiwan, the one thing is very interesting. A lot of people like to buy, which is stationery.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We guys have really big chain of stationaries, like 9成9 or something. We mentioned about that before in the previous episode. Those things you buy necessities, those kind of things, like pen, notebook, the kids need for their school. And there was another different kind of style. Is like they are very ritual. And just really fun to have, tape. Nobody's using tape now, but, have this kind of little tape, pencils, or a special design covered notebook. Those are the things that most of people like to buy in Taiwan. And they are in coffee shops. Like sometimes at coffee shop, you go there and drink coffee and little tiny little things that you can buy just very fun for me.
Yes. Yes, I remember those very well. They were great when you were able to just go pretty much anywhere and they'll have a little table of their own knickknacks that they like to sell. Like Anita said, notebooks, pencils, you can even get keychains or magnets or even art. It's really cool because it's very special and individualized, something that you can't get anywhere else. I like that a lot about Taiwan. In USA, it's more about having common things that everyone enjoys because they sell the best. So just as an example, like an animation character, if everyone really likes that anime character, like in Pokemon or in something like that, everyone will have something that they can sell that would be easy to make money off of. You don't really see that individuality, that creative side as much. They do exist, but most of the time when we buy stationery, it's going to be at a large supermarket, a store that's designed for it. It's huge. It's a wholesale. That's the thing that in America that we love about shopping is wholesale purchase. So you probably all know about Costco. I know Taiwan has lots of Costcos now.
Only 2 or 3, I guess.
Well, that's a lot in Taiwan. And, I honestly, some countries only have one. And so, and they're 10 times bigger than Taiwan. Okay, so having 2 or 3 is a big deal, I think. The thing I wanted to mention is that our go-to thing is basically we like to go shopping for a purpose. Grab all that we need, all that we want at one time, and then don't go again until maybe next month or a week later or something like this. We're not like that day-to-day shopping style. That's not what we do in the USA. As much, a lot of people would think that's the truth unless you're into fashion. Fashion is definitely the truth about that. But with common people, going shopping is kind of like a beginning of the month or end of the month kind of habit. It's not anything else. And that's something that I found very shocking when I moved to Taiwan because I was going shopping almost every day.
Yeah.
Almost every day to a different place. And, and I thought that was really cool, but a little bit stressful because it would always think about, oh my God, are we going to be buying lots of stuff today. I have no idea. It's a wilderness out there with the shopping world of Taiwan. And the other big thing that I wanted to jump into was the money situation. In Taiwan, it's very common to use cash for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But you still have like Apple Pay, Line Pay, credit cards. But you don't really see a lot of people popping out their credit cards to be purchasing something. It's usually cold hard cash. And I like that. It's very Japanese in my opinion. Don't ask me why. But the thing about USA is that I haven't pulled out a bill in months. And
I haven't seen. Sorry.
And if I do, I'm thinking, people at the cashier are also thinking, like, what are you doing?
What is that?
What is paper? Why does it have a 0 on it? What do I do with this? Are you giving me a tissue? Like, I don't know. Seriously, people just like give you like you have 10 eyes on your face sort of look, and everyone pays with card these days. Everyone.
We'll be right back.
I really like journaling, but I always end up with no time or cannot find a journal that I really like. So I was like, hey, let me create one. So here it is, a self-help journal created and designed by Anita. Inside the book, I provide very simple and easy to follow template. For example, in the morning, to-do list. In the evening, gratitude practice. So you can use a very little time to start this healthy habit. Go ahead and check it out in our description down below or go to our buymeacoffee.com. Yeah, I think ever since I moved here, I only holding a cash in my hand for like only a few seconds for twice. Even like I feel like I got so used to it because in Taiwan, like you say, everybody like probably 70-80% of people are still using cash. So when I first got here, I was like, nobody's using cash. They're all using cards. And after a few months, when I see some old lady paying in cash, I was like, oh my God. I was shocked. You guys are still using this? You know, those kind of thing. But I do wanted to say, like, I've noticed this about Taiwan about a couple years ago. Like, people from Taipei are already using credit cards more than cash.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm from Taichung. So sometimes I will hang out with my friend in Taipei. And it's really hard to find ATM machine in Taipei.
Is that right?
Yes, it's very hard, and most of people are paying either using their phone. Your phone can attach to Apple Pay or Line Pay. You just beep, or and we also have a thing called Easy Card. Yo-yo card. So you can also use that to connect to your phone. You can also use that thing to pay. So that's. Definitely, I would say people from Taipei are already using it for like a couple years back. Then the rest of Taiwan, I think they started to influence the rest of people from Taiwan. But yes, majority of people are still paying in cash.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for Americans is that we won't get too deep into why we use credit cards so much. But the one thing I think is just because of convenience. It's just if you don't have to count, and you can easily just buy whatever you want without thinking, which I think is one of the thing about USA that's a little bit dangerous with shopping, is that no matter where you go, you got enough money to buy what you want.
Yes, exactly.
So this is a phenomenon that's caused a lot of people to have a ton of credit card debt. But we're not here to talk about credit card debt. We're here to talk about shopping. And so, go ahead. Also, because of the price. In Taiwan, it's very easy to count because we don't have that something. Oh, right.
You see, like we just have, 500, 100, to $20 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to pay. One, the price is really easy. Two, we don't usually spend a lot of money. So using credit card seems doesn't make much sense. And also the traditional market, they don't have the machine.
Yes. Yes. So the places don't have the machines, the use of it doesn't make sense when it's a small purchase. Yeah, it makes sense. It's just easier because in Taiwan you don't have cents, right? It's all zeros. And also sales tax is included
Yeah.
in Taiwan's purchases, where in USA, if you go somewhere, you have no idea what the actual end charge might be.
That's true.
In Oregon, we don't have sales tax, thank God. But for other things like in Washington or California, our neighbor states, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Like it can be like 7-8%, and you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna get this soda for $2. Great, and then you go to the cashier and it says, okay, that's $2.34, and you're like,
What is that?
Where does 34 cents come from? And they're just like, oh yeah, sales tax. And it's like, oh my God, right? So you can't prepare in time, right? So you have to have a credit card to take care of that, right? And so that's one of the biggest things.
Also the tips.
Oh, well, that's something I really want to dive into. I'm glad that you're bringing it up. We're going to go into what is the biggest special differences between Taiwan and the USA right now. Since you already threw me the ball, I'm going to play with it. And so tipping culture in the USA is definitely our special edition. So what is that all about? Well, the USA, we get salaries, we have part-time jobs and full-time jobs, but if you work in the service industry, there's also tips included. So what is that about? So a lot of people in the USA always have this big question, or people outside the USA as well, and that is, how much should I tip? Why do I have to tip? What is this tip even going to? And so let me try to answer all three of these questions. First, how should you tip? The common custom in the USA is never tip less than 10%. Okay, never less than 10%. That the reason for that is just, like I said, it's a custom. It has no real fine rule of why you should tip less or why you should tip more. People tip more to be generous. People tip less for other reasons. But the commonality of USA used to be 10%, but recently there's been this phenomenon that we should tip 15% and maybe even 20%. Sometimes when you're paying with your credit card, you'll be surprised. The tip comes up and you don't have other options lower than 15, 18, 20%. And you're like, wow, you're really trying to grab as much as you can with the tipping culture. I'm really happy to give, but shouldn't there be a fine line? Or like at least an agreed minimum, but every place can create their own, and so you have to do something really awkward, which is press this other button in the machine that says other amount, and then
you have to do the calculation.
You have to do your own calculation by yourself, and the cashier's watching you like a hawk. And he's just, or she is just very upset with you pressing that button, and you're just like, okay. Well, I didn't create this machine, man. I'm just doing what I'm used to. That's my custom. So my biggest recommendation to anyone who isn't from the United States and is curious about what you should do for tipping culture, the bare bone minimum is 10%. Okay, so if you feel like you should give more, give more. But, people love the generosity, and that's going to go into the next point, is that where does these tips go? So these tips are supposedly, okay, there's no fine line of where this is true or not, but supposedly it's going to go to the employees, okay? So the employees will get a portion of whatever tips are collected throughout the day, and then they're rationed out based on how many number of employees there are. So let's just give a really easy number. So if there's $100 of tips and there's 5 people working there, that means each person will get $20 of the tips that day, okay? So, but the thing is that if you get an X amount of tips, like if you get, for example, $500 worth of tips in a month, they will actually remove part of your salary to pay for parts of those tips. So, in other words, you're not actually earning more, you're actually making it easier for the business to pay you less. That's basically the tipping culture. You're making the people who own the business richer, but you're actually not gaining anything. No, you're getting some, but you're not gaining a lot. And I think that's a really weird, system that we have in the USA. Shouldn't the people who do the service get the tips, not the people who own the business? They're getting money from the business. So that's just my point of view on that. Okay, so I talked about the how, I talked about the why. Is there anything else I should talk about with tips? Do you have any questions?
Not really. Me personally just think this thing is very unfair, but basically they just want customer to pay more to the, like you said, the business. The employee doesn't really get that much.
Oh, yes, that actually reminds me of the last thing I wanted to say really quick. Sorry. That is the culture behind it. And that is just basically to show gratitude to all of the workers who are there. That's the one thing that I noticed that it was really hard for me when I was living in Taiwan, is that I really wanted to say thank you to the people who were really nice and the people who did work hard in Taiwan, but I had no method to do that except vocally saying it. And I think that's one of the reasons why tipping culture is very popular in the USA, is that it gives us a method to directly say thank you to that person financially.
That's true.
And I think that's the main reason why it's a huge thing in the USA. But of course, because it's a financial thing in capitalism, United States has found ways to manipulate that for for business owners. And business owners, they made the business. They're getting benefits from it. They have taxes they have to pay. I get it. But the only thing I don't like about it is that you have to pay an X amount based on the machine that is there. So yeah, that's just my point of view.
Yeah. And I think in Taiwan, we slowly picking up this culture. Of course, it's not like it's not like a must. So they will have like something says tip, like a jar in front of their cashier.
Yeah.
So you just feel free to put some money into it. And because we don't have this culture in Taiwan, so most of people they don't really think deep about this. They always think people are taking advantage of them. Some people will think that way. I think right here we wanted to share is yes, we have doubt like where are those tips going to, belongs to the employee or belongs to the owner. But I think, sometimes just a little bit of money, you can make the employee really happy, and you share and you give. I think, that's also a fun part about shopping. If you really, sometimes, like you said, we went to a store. Yeah, some cashier give us really bad attitude, but some people really give us like really nice and warm greeting and helping us, and you're just like, oh my goodness, it's really nice, so a little bit of thank you. I think it's really good style, like shopping style, that we can add to it, and we can think about it the next time when we go shopping in Taiwan.
Yeah, sure. Which reminds me of the special thing in Taiwan that I really, really want to talk about, because...
Is it a good thing or bad thing?
I don't know. You're going to have to tell me. It's just one of those things about Taiwan's culture that every foreigner when I was in Taiwan, we always were pondering and asking each other, why is this happening? Because in our countries, this is something that we just never, ever see. And that is lines, like everywhere. If there's a new store that opens up in Taiwan, you'll see a line for a kilometer, You'll see people lined up. Oh, is it though? Because when you go to certain new places, let's just say, for example, like a new McDonald's in a new place, the locals are like, wow, well, look at that. There's a McDonald's.
Hey, hello. It was like 15 years ago, right?
It's just an example, okay? But if there was a new McDonald's, everyone would be going crazy over it, and there would be a long, 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 long line. And so what is this all about?
Wow. Before I didn't think about this topic deeply, just because when we are younger, people always talking about, if this store has really long line outside, it must be good. And the store, nobody's there. We will kind of doubt about their, quality or the things they are selling. So there's just, in a long time ago in Taiwan, we don't have Facebook, we don't have social media, we don't have anything to share, we don't have Google reviews. So we just, kind of spread the words like, do you know there's a beef noodle place that's really good, and people just go there. What am I describing Taiwanese people as a caveman? Anyways, so we just use the word that we spread, like, oh, some place is really good. And we don't have a reservation system before. About like 20 years ago, we don't have such thing called like call and make the reservation. We don't have that. So most people just go there, wait outside, right? So I think that's all the line culture start. Like you go to the store, if you see long line outside of this restaurant or whatever place, it must be good. It's because of that. And right now, of course, 20 years later, 50 years later, people started to make a reservation. We have online review. You can go check out. You can go to Instagram. You can see photos and videos and everything.
So the lines got longer.
That's right. Because there's a thing. Taiwanese people like to follow the most trendy thing. If you notice that, like, there any kind of new things, Taiwanese people always know ahead way before a lot of countries.
Wait, so is that why there's a new line of something? There will be, I've heard this from my Taiwanese friends, that they'll sometimes just line up in the line without even knowing where they're going.
That's
just
true.
Because they see so many other Taiwanese people lining up for it, so it must be good.
It must be good. It must be something there. And right now we have a new thing called 王美店. Like people go there, take wonderful Instagram photos. So there's another, trendy thing. Nowadays, when people go waiting in line outside of a store, it's like 80-90% of the chances they are trying to be trendy. That's just, I don't know since when Taiwanese people are really good at chasing those tiny little things. Like, oh, do you know about these new things? And people just go there. Again, everywhere you wanted to go is very very easy to get to, and those stores are covered all over Taiwan. Every little city has its own special coffee shop, clothing shop, brunch places. Those are the places that people like to go there and wait for lines. So that's good trendy things. People love to following those things. And like I said, 20, 50 years ago, probably those are like a quality guarantee if you see lines outside. But right now, nowadays, it's not so certain the food will be good. But the place will definitely be trendy, fashionable, cool. People are talking about that. And another thing is, if we dive deep, I actually look up the information. Because I don't like waiting in line. I don't like it. I don't.
Yeah, me either.
I just, when I'm hungry, I want food. Right?
We have a hangry monster over here, everybody.
I want clothes. I go there. I pick up the clothes. I don't like waiting inside. So that's never my thing. But when I look deeper into it, I look it up online. It says there was a psychologist is actually talking about this 跟风 phenomena. Like 跟风 is like, follow the trendy things, waiting the long line outside of the store. There's a psychology term called conformity. Right? Conformity is like, we need to make decision as a group. It's like a culture and education backgrounds. If you look at USA and Taiwan, USA is more focused on independency, thinking by yourself, make your own decision, thinking about your life, what you want. You have to think about this all the time. But in Taiwan, our education it's more powerful if you stay in a group, And when we are going to school, we usually don't challenge our teachers. We will just do what teacher told us to do. We don't really be encouraged to express our personal opinion. That's just our education system. So when we grew up, this is kind of like in our subconscious. We don't even notice that when you go shopping, you just kind of like when you're making a decision, you make other people make the decision for you. Because for us, it's safe. Because when we are learning in an elementary school, if we follow what most people are doing, we can get high score. We won't get scolded. We won't get called out by our teacher. So our brain kind of like connect this emotion behind our behavior. So that's one thing that you can look at it. Like people like to when the lie to do what most people are doing. So that was that. I'm not saying this as a to judge or to correct our behavior, just to point out the facts. I think that's really interesting because there are good things and bad things. Good thing is Taiwanese people tend to follow our rules and never break it. For example, wearing a mask during COVID-19. On the other hand, in American people, they will be like, this is my personal right. Why should I wear a mask? Also, doing the recycling in Taiwan, everybody follows it. On the other hand, in the USA, some people just say, why should I do that? It's just the cultural differences. I'm being very careful here. We love you, Taiwanese people, and we love you, American people. I'm just saying, just the cultural differences here.
No, I think you explained it very objectively, and I think it's a very good point of view and perspective that a lot of people can take away with the idea that, United States is definitely independent minded, and Taiwan likes to think in a group. If you look at the structure of our families as well, or how we hang out with our friends, or like in our topic today, going shopping. Americans really like to go thrift shopping. We like to go to stores that will help develop a personal style that is not similar to anybody at all. Or if it is, you're surprised. You're like, oh wow, we have something in common. On the other hand, in Taiwan, everyone, if you wear the same clothes, you are trendy and you're following a group, and that means it's easier for you to make friends.
That's true.
And so this is just a very great example of what's a big difference between Taiwan and the USA. So I really appreciate the point of view, Anita. I have one question though about the lines. This is actually something that happens in the USA to help encourage buyers for a new store, and that is sometimes people will actually pay people to wait in line in front of your store. Is this something that happens in Taiwan, or is it just, out of pure interest?
I think I've heard about, it's very rare if it really exists. I only heard from, some TV show, like talk show in Taiwan, they would say some lady from a rich family, they don't like to wait. They like to buy things, but they don't like to wait in line by themselves. So they will pay someone has really good fashion tastes to help them to purchase either bags or clothes or things like that. I've heard about it from TV, from talk shows in Taiwan, but I'm not so sure if it's true or not.
That's interesting.
And in real life, I've never heard about this situation happen among my friends or someone I know. So
that's an interesting twist to the question, though. I like that. People going out and buying the clothes for you if they have good fashion taste. That's a whole profession in itself. That's really cool. Well, I think that's a really great place for us to wrap this episode up. So, Anita, is there anything else that you would like to mention at the end of today's episode?
I think either way, going shopping is fun. Either in Taiwan or in the USA, they will be different styles. And if you're in Taiwan, enjoy the variety of clothes and everything that you can buy, and don't be so scared to share, to give back to those employees. And even though there is no chance for you to pay them tips, you can be vocally, thank them. I think in recent years, and less people are willing to say thank you or say nice things to the employees for many reasons. But I think we should bring back those culture, because when I remember when I was a kid, a lot of people are willing to say a lot of things, nice things to those employees or cashier, just genuinely wanted to be nice to them. So I think right now, nowadays, the younger generation can pick up those two, just, say thank you, or I like your clothes and thank you for your service, sort of things like that.
I totally agree. It's something that I was reminded when we moved back to the United States with not only us doing it to other people, but having the people who were serving us did the same thing.
That's
Compliments, praise, and just, common human interaction. It just feels really good. And it's something that I would definitely like to bring forward to Taiwan more and more every time I go visit. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so if you're still listening to this episode, thank you. You made it to the end. You've heard another great episode on Taiwanica Podcast. If you would like, please share this episode with all of your friends who you think would be interested. Please follow us on Taiwanica Podcast on Instagram. And also check out our YouTube channel where we will be posting the video version of this episode. So definitely check those things out. And finally, once again, check out buymeacoffee.com/Taiwanica Podcast to find out a lot of really cool stuff that we have made just for you.
That's right.
All right. So thank you again for joining us today, and we will see you in the next episode.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Taiwanica. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.